Unless you have problems, like me, you were probably sleeping for the start of the British Open on Thursday. Golf Channel went live for the very first tee shot again, just after 1:30 a.m. ET and 6:30 a.m. local in Scotland. We're approaching the midpoint of a full 14.5 hours of coverage and have plenty to review. So while you pour your coffee or just get into work, let's catch up before you ignore the rest of your obligations and take in the second half of the day. Here are some of the highlights and themes from the start of golf's oldest major championship. Shot of the morning. We heard all week about the divergent strategies prompted by the conditioning of this burnt-out links. The Bombers, including John Ram, said they thought they would hit a lot of drivers in an attempt to just clear all the trouble and pot bunkers. We didn't expect to see many players hit the driver at the third hole, a shorter par 4 with precisely placed bunkers. But Ram pulled the big stick and carried it perfectly over the trouble and right into the heart of the green some 350 yards away. We may see this from a few of the very biggest hitters in the world, but none will execute it as well as this. The more likely play will be hanging back, as you saw with Ram's playing partners Chris Wood and Ricky Fowler. Thomas Pieters, another big bomber, opened his championship by threading one up onto the first green, which was 390 yards out there. Get used to seeing this from a select few over the coming days. Ground game class. One reason we love the Open is the creativity it demands around the green. Grabbing your 60-degree wedge and hacking it out of some rough is rarely the play. But there are options, unlike most U.S. Tour golf, where that hack is the only play. We saw this variety and creativity in consecutive holes from one of the power groups in the morning wave. After Justin Rose hit a beautiful bump-and-run chip that snuck just around a pot bunker, Jordan Spieth took out the putter on the very next hole to navigate around a similar obstacle. Look how close this gets. This is what makes the Open such a different, interesting watch from the other majors each year. Rose went low with a bump and run and Spieth stayed all the way down with a putter, both pulling it off and putting it closer than seemed possible. We don't get the demands for this creativity almost every other week on the schedule. Scottish amusement. When I woke up, I did not expect to encounter Sandy Lyle, content generator. But the 60-year-old Scot provided at 1:30 a.m. on Thursday. Lyle, who is almost certainly playing in his final Open, showed up to lead off the championship looking like a volunteer. It's 1:30 in the morning, but it took a few minutes for me to realize Sandy Lyle and not a volunteer marshal was leading off the Open. Pic.twitter.com/Zootowsk3, Brendan Porrett, at Brendan Porrett, July 19, 2018. That does not look like a competitor. That looks like a local retiree who volunteered for the free hat, golf shirt, and windbreaker in exchange for holding a quiet sign for a few days. We're used to seeing logos all over these players, just not the official tourney logo. Lyle looks like a fan who got a little too eager in the merchandise tent, not a multiple major champion and golf legend. He even had the matching golf shirt under the coat. This is the kind of minutiae that's innocent fun and may only appeal to the extreme golf nerds, but I want to thank Sandy Lyle, who sounds like a good dude, for providing this morning. Jets and Choppers race to make a tee time. The most dramatic question of the morning was whether Jonathan Vegas would make his 10:31 a.m. tee time. Golf Channel's Todd Lewis reported that Vegas, who spent the week battling a visa issue, would not landing in Glasgow until 8:45 a.m. He was then taking a helicopter across Scotland and up to Carnoustie in a race against time. Everything seems to be against me to get my visa and make it the Open. First, ADUP's mechanical problem and passport is running late, and second, weather through NYC and flight is delay. Probably need to find another flight. Jonathan Vegas, at Jonathan Vegas, July 17, 2018. And he also didn't have his golf clubs, which were separated from him as he bumped and changed travel plans in a desperate attempt to finally get there. equipment sponsor threw a set together for him in Vegas to make it to the range in time for a quick warm-up. But yeah, playing without seeing the course and no practice and brand new clubs you have never used after flying in overnight is not the ideal prep for the start of a major championship. Carnicity. I'm sorry, I'm trying to delete that subhead, but what has become known as Carnasty is actually playing quite benign. We knew it was baked out, with the fairways running about as fast as the greens. But with the putting surfaces so receptive and, well, green, there should be some low numbers throughout the day. To some, the firmness of the fairways makes the longest course on the open road much shorter. The greens are relatively slow and soft, with pitch shots stopping on a dime and even spinning back some 15 to 20 feet early in the day. There's very little wind. That's a combination for a super low round and plenty of red all over the leaderboard. It's still early, but if these conditions hold up, we're going to get a 65 and perhaps lower. Keep it up, lads. The first group of Lyle, Martin Keimer, and Andy Sullivan came in a good 20 minutes ahead of schedule. Euros are always better about enforcing pace of play and keeping it on schedule. Let's hope this is the kind of pace we get for the week. Coming up, Tiger is anchoring the back half of the tee sheet with an extremely late start time. He goes at 3:21 p.m. local and 10:21 a.m. in the eastern U.S. Woods will get some greens that are a bit trampled compared to the clean conditions of the morning wave. Here are some of the marquee groups coming in the afternoon wave. Over in Scotland, 7:53 a.m., Rory McIlroy, Mark Leishman, Torbjorn Olesen, 8:04 a.m., Dustin Johnson, Alex Noren, Charlie Hoffman, 8:26 a.m., Justin Thomas, Francesco Molinari, Brandon Grace, 9:48 a.m., Padraig Harrington, Bubba Watson, Matt Wallace, 9:59 a.m., Ian Poulter, Cameron Smith, Brooks Koepka, 10:10 a.m., Sergio Garcia, Bryson DeChambeau, Shubhankar Sharma, 10:21 a.m., Tiger Woods, Hideki Matsuyama, Russell Knox row the boat. The early leader was South African and former Minnesota Gopher Eric Van Rooyen. The general fan tuning in has probably never heard of him, but he's a built like a brick *** house and has shown plenty of game of late. It's not shocking to see him playing well here after a top 5 finish on a links course 2 weeks ago at the Irish Open. That boosted him inside the top 150 in the world. We're not talking about a top-ranked player here, but he's got the talent to post this kind of mid-60s number and is not a total unknown. The margins can incredibly thin from number 150 in the world and no. 15. Now comes the hard part of having to back up a 67 with another number on Friday. Here's your live leaderboard as more players roll into the clubhouse.